Dear children, welcome to the class. Now, before we begin today's session, I want all of you to look at this picture given and tell me few things. Can you see this girl in the picture? Is she happy? Look at the expression on her face. Of course, she is not happy. Look at the expression in her eyes. What is there that you see? These are pleading eyes. What is the girl pleading? What is the girl begging for? Probably she doesn't want to do such harsh labor work. Am I right? Now, I want you to think and reflect. How many times during the day do we thank God for countless blessings that He has given us? How many times do we even try to count those blessings? How many times do we even observe those blessings at all? Most of the things go away just like that, taken for granted. We've got a comfortable, cozy environment to live in, and we take it for granted. It's not a big deal. Now, we are in this lockdown, comfortably sitting in our homes. We are in touch with our teachers, with our studies through online classes. There is no hue and cry about food and sleep and other things. Everything is being provided for comfortably. So, do we ever think about those people who earn on day-to-day basis, who are dependent on their daily wages for food? All those laborers who have started migrating back to their native places on foot. Hundreds of kilometers they have to walk on foot. How unprivileged they are as compared to us. So students, we are going to do lot of reflection through this chapter, Children at Work, because when it comes to the underprivileged children, their situation is pathetic. It's a great plight even to see them in misery. So let's move ahead with this chapter and find out what all is there for us. Let's move with this. First of all, there are certain objectives set for you which you are expected to achieve by the end of this lesson. What are these? It is expected that once we finish the chapter, you would be able to understand the message of the lesson. That we will discuss at the end of this session. Then there are certain vocabulary words. As you know, we always ask you to highlight the vocab words and try to find out their not only their meanings but how to use them in your day-to-day English language. So you are expected to know the use and meaning of these new words in the text. Also, you are expected to get this idea clearly that if a child runs away from home, that will not be a comfortable road ahead. It would be a very uneven path. It may lead to many unexpected experiences. You are also expected to know that children who run away from home or who do not take their parents into confidence, they will have to do many undesirable works after running away from their homes. And then, lastly, you are expected to become aware that the world is not a very protective place for a small child. Unless and until your parents are there to support you, to guide you all alone, this world can be quite a challenging place for you, and you could have many bitter experiences. Now we come to the new words. This is the, I think so, very exciting part of your learning, to learn new words. So, in this, we are not only going to learn the new words and meanings but also their usage. Your first word is pulled in. Pulled in, which means arrived. So, how are we going to use this in our sentences? Passengers rushed as the train pulled in the station. Passengers rushed as the train arrived in the station. Your next word is wobbly, which means unsteady, which is not balanced, imbalanced. So you could say, the little child came to me in wobbly steps. She was drunk, so she was walking in a wobbly manner, unsteady. Okay, so we can say anything which is imbalanced, we can use the word wobbly in place of imbalanced or unsteady. Word number 3, terrible. This is a common word for you. Terrible, which causes great fear, sorrow, or discomfort. Oh my God, I had a terrible experience in driving a car. She is terrible at painting. I can never in my life forget such a terrible experience that I had today. You can form many exclamatory sentences because terrible, this word indicates your strong emotional reaction. It's a strong emotional word, so can be used very well in the exclamatory sentences. Your next word, exhausted, tired. Again, it's quite a common word for you. I am exhausted today. During exams, we feel mentally exhausted. Whole day, mom has to do a lot of work, so by the end of the day, she feels exhausted. But then, the beauty is when you learn to replace your common words with these vocab words. For example, tired is such a common word, we just use it endlessly. I'm so tired today. But make it a habit. In place of tired, you can use exhausted. Oh, mom, I am so exhausted today. Now, your next word is stuffing. Stuffing means filling. The stuffing of a teddy bear came out because it was torn. The stuffing here, it's used as a noun, something which is stuffed in. Do you relish eating stuffed paranthas? So just the same meaning it has. So you can say the stuffing of a teddy bear came out because it was torn. I like the stuffing of the paranthas that my mom makes. Momos have a great aromatic stuffing, right? So we move on to the next word, which is stare. Stare means to look continuously, to look fixedly upon something. So she stared at me in surprise. Here you need to note down stare and at, right? Stare and at are used together, and stared at is a phrasal verb. Now, stare at is a phrasal verb because the verb stare is used along with the preposition at. These two words are used collectively, so such words The verbs which have an accompanying preposition, they are called phrasal verbs. There is a classic example of a phrasal verb which is listen plus to. I always tell the students that count it as a single word. They always come together. Are you listening to me? And when we convert it into passive, you remember, you will say, am I being listened to by you? Here two prepositions to and by are coming together, but you have to segregate. Listen to is a phrasal verb, then it is accompanied by preposition listened to by me, the preposition by. Okay. Our next word is glumly. Glumly, I would say, is just another version of gloomily. So, being sad, being gloomy, these are our common day to day words. They can easily be replaced by the word glumly. The beggar walked away glumly. When she got her periodic test scores, she sat at the corner desk glumly. Right? Our next word is mutter. Mutter is to speak in a low voice. I am sure you do this so many times in your school, in your classrooms, when you are not allowed to talk, to speak loudly. And that happens in the presence of your dear teachers. Am I right? So, we would say children started muttering when the teacher was giving instructions. Alright? So, muttering means speaking in a low, hushed voice. Our last word is grimace. Grimace, it's a twisted expression on the face. Now, children, when does our face get twisted, distorted? When do we give such a weird expression? When we are unhappy, when we are skeptical. So we can say, don't grimace, you are at fault. So now don't make faces. It is you who is at fault. So now I have discussed some sample sentences with you. I expect all of you to practice these vocabulary words in your classwork notebooks and make fresh and new sentences using these words. If you feel some of the words are already there in your active vocabulary, you can just leave them and attempt the rest of the words. But it is a very appreciable exercise when you practice the vocab words in the context. So, I would suggest you that do these words, their meanings, and their sentences in your classwork notebook. Now we proceed to the key points of your chapter. You must have read beforehand the stories about Velu, right? So look at this picture. It captures the correct sentiment of the Velu in our chapter, isn't it? Let's see what the key points are. Velu is an 11-year-old boy. He runs away from home. What are the reasons he runs away? He is poor. His father is a drunkard. He beats Velu and his siblings. And he snatches all the money from them. So, of course, he makes them work, earn money, and then he snatches all the money from them and squanders it in drinking. Now Velu runs away from home. Then he wanders around for hours and gets on a train to Chennai without a ticket. So, if you are asked what all challenges did Velu face, this could be one of those challenges. He had no money, he had to travel without a ticket, he was a complete stranger at that place, he was at his wits' end. Note down this idiom. He was I'll write again. He was at his wits' end. Okay, you can note down when you don't know what to do. He was at his wits' end. So now Velu is an 11-year boy. He runs away from home, then he wanders around here and there for a lot of time, gets on a train to Chennai without a ticket. Then he gets off the train at Chennai Central and sits on a bench on the platform. Why? Here you can use he was at his wits' end. He did not know what to do, where to go, who to talk to, and how to earn. Tired and hungry. Remember, I asked you to underline the challenges. First was he was without a ticket. Then he was tired and hungry. And then he did not know where to go. These were some of the challenges that he faced. Then what happens? Then he met Jaya. Who is Jaya? You have the answer here. Jaya was a rag picker. Okay. So then he met Jaya. Okay. Now we proceed. Jaya, at least she talked to Velu and tried to help him out. So Velu soon could feel a connection with her. He thought that she was his only hope and followed her. Whatever she was saying, he was following the instructions. Then, where do they go? They walked through the busy streets and saw the central jail, and then they reached an auditorium where a wedding was going on. Mark these words. If I ask you why did they go to these places? Why did they walk through busy streets? Okay. Why they saw the central jail? Why they reached an auditorium where a wedding was going on? The reason is since Jaya was a rag picker, she would always go to crowded places looking for the garbage and junk which she could collect and resell later on. That was reason number 1. Another reason is if they would go to a place where a wedding was going on, there were chances that they would get leftover food to eat. What would they get? Left over food, right? Now, this should make you reflect a lot. Look at these poor children, children of your age. They are forced to eat leftover food. And look at us. How much we waste ignorantly. How much we, sometimes take the food for granted. How many times we tell our mom, okay, I'm not going to eat this food, give me something tasty. And there are so many children in the slums who are dying of hunger. At least we can be thankful for the food we eat day and night, right? So now they go to this place. Then what happens? Velu and Jaya got a vada and a squashy banana to eat. They have no choice. Whatever is available, they are going to eat because they are famished. So another word which you can note down is famished. Right? Famished is a word whose root word is famine, which means a complete lack of food. So Jaya and Velu, they both feel famished and therefore they eat a vada and a squashy banana as leftover things from where? From a wedding. Okay. Then what happens? They keep on walking for around half an hour and then they reach a row of strangest huts Velu had ever seen. Then Jaya went around to one of them and dumped her sack of paper, plastic, and bottles and picked up an empty one. What does it mean? Jaya had to collect all these things from the busy streets. What all things? That may be a question, so you should know. Paper, plastic, bottles. All these things she would just, carry in a sack and load on her back. A small child load on her back and then deliver it at this place and then pick up an empty sack and then go again to collect junk. So this was her way of earning money. Then she threw a pair of old shoes and pushed a sack and a stick into his hands. His means Velu's hands. Tell me why? Why? Okay. Why did she throw all these things towards Velu? Pair of old shoes, a sack, and a stick. Because she wanted Velu to join her in this profession of rag picking. She could understand that Velu had left his home, he had run away, and now he needed to earn money. So she was trying to help him out. She was suggesting that Velu join her in this profession, in this work of rag picking. In confusion, he asked her, "Are there any farms in the city?" So Velu couldn't understand why he was being handed over a stick and shoes, so he asked, "Are there any farms in the city?" He thought it must be something related to farming, and he got the answer that there were no farmers there. He decided, this is an important decision, he decided to be a rag picker, thinking that he will do it till he finds a better job. Till when? Till he could get a better job because there was no choice. Okay. Most important part now. What is the moral of the story? What do we learn from this chapter? Of course, the most obvious thing is that no children should work. Child labor is a bane or it is a curse. Okay, this is the moral of the story, because the plight of these children, which has been portrayed through Velu and Jaya, that's something very, very discouraging for the young children who are the future of the nation. So, the moral is that no children should work. Now, this would mean directly we are talking about child labor. Don't assume you are not going to work in order to help your mom, in your homes. It does not mean that, because that is a responsibility share that is a responsibility sharing. Okay, when you help your mom in the household chores, you are trying to contribute as a family member. So here the moral of this story is that no children should be forced to enter in this practice of child labor. Then, what other things are there we may note as conclusion? Given the choice, any child would rather go to school than collect rubbish from garbage bins. Am I right? Yes. It is far, far better to go to school and study in a respectable manner than to collect rubbish from garbage bins. This is the bitter truth. The number of children who work is more than the number of children who go to schools. Another aspect, this we will do in character sketch of Jaya. Jaya is smarter, braver, and has a better sense of humor than Velu. One more word I would like to suggest you here is resilient. Okay, I will write again for you. Resilient. Resilient is a person who is able to bounce back. So clearly, there have been so many struggles in Jaya's life, but she has bounced back. She is earning money, she is facing all the odds with great bravery, she is smart in day to day life, and she also keeps a pleasing demeanor. She is not at all frustrated or annoyed girl. So she is resilient as well. Last very important lesson, I am going to zoom it for you. Very, very important. What we throw away as waste may be valuable to others. Think twice before you waste food. Okay? Okay, I will redo this. Okay. Think twice before you waste food, because millions of children are dying of malnutrition and hunger, and we are sometimes inadvertently, of course, but we tend to waste food. Okay, what is the message for us? Yes, join your hands in prayer every time you come across, every time you reflect upon the blessings in your lives. That's the message for us. Attitude of gratitude. Gratitude should become a part of your personality. It should come as your attitude. You should always be gratified. This word comes from gratitude. Gratitude is a noun. When you are using it as a verb, you say gratified. I hope I am clear. So, the attitude of gratitude. This is the message for us, and also we should be thankful for this beautiful life we have got, and we should always try to make the most of it. Now, the last point: how can we make the most of our beautiful lives? At least at the domestic level, we should completely discourage child labor. Okay, one is this: we should discourage child labor. Now, you would say, how? Your household help. If you see there are small children working in your homes, please don't do that. Please suggest that it is wrong to ask a small child to do the mopping and cleaning and washing in your households, right? Then what else you can do to help such children, equip themselves, right? How will you help them? By making them, we can help them by making them literate. Okay? If you can contribute in this, if you see that there are small kids of your maids who are illiterate, who don't get this privilege of education, you can take small steps to make them literate, to at least give them the basic support of education, so that they can at least live a respectable life, and they are able to earn respectably when they grow up. So, children are not meant to toil hard in the buildings or in the fields. They should be given proper education, so that it proves to be even more helpful in the long run. So, this was the chapter, and the most important aspect to pick is the life skills and the message and what all we learn from this for our day to day lives. That is the best part, besides the basic story of the chapter, which is simple enough for you to retain once you have read it once or twice. I am sure you are going to incorporate these 2-3 things today onwards. 1, you will always be gratified. You should always have the attitude of gratitude. Pray all the 3 times before you sit down to take your meals. Pray to God. Thank God for giving you such healthy, nutritious food to eat. Then be compassionate, be empathetic towards these underprivileged children, and see if there are such children in your neighborhood as your household help. See how you can help them. Be considerate towards unprivileged people. That's all for today's session, and I am really glad that through this chapter, surely we are going to take back home certain good values and good things. And I am very sure that you are going to implement these things in your lives. All the best.